Hey guys, welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. Welcome back to another episode of the Guides Network, giving you in-depth instruction and advice, more in-depth than you'll find just about anywhere else in the world of bass fishing. Hey, today I'm going to talk to you about rods. I just changed rod brands. I'm using the 6th Sense rods now, and I'm going to talk to you about all the different sizes and powers and kind of how I go about setting my rods up with different line and stuff like that so that I can cover any tactic that I want to when I go to the water. Alright, let's talk about my rods. Today, first thing we want to do is give you guys a little overview of the 6th Sense rods in general. This is the Lux rod series. They retail in the 150 range, or right around 150 depending on the size you get and all that, but right around the 150 range for these rods, and I highly recommend them. They are phenomenal. They're super light, very sensitive. I've had no problem hooking fish and landing fish. I've had no problems hooking fish and landing fish. These rods have been, you know, they look great. They're very light and sensitive, like I said, and they've just performed outstanding so far since I've had them. You know, one thing about 6th Sense lures, they always do everything first class. I mean, you pull their baits out of the package, they're ready to fish. Their rods are no different. You know, when you fish a 6th Sense fishing products, whether it's rod, bait, whatever it is, it's going to feel good to you. It's going to look good. It's going to make you have more confidence in it. It's going to be very comfortable to fish. These rods just feel phenomenal in your hand. And you can look, they're an all black finish with gray highlights. One of the big things, they've got unsanded blanks from here up. You have an unsanded blank. Here down it's finished all the way. I like that unsanded blank. Very comfortable handle. Breaking the rod seat like most rods, where you can get, you know, feel the rod while you're holding your bait caster like this or like this, however you do it. Get them, Pat. We might have a few schooling fish behind us right now, so we'll see if Pat can bring one home real quick for us. Pat's on the back deck. Split grip handle, like I said, guys, just super lightweight, very sensitive, awesome rods. So now let's talk about the strength and power and how I go about setting all those up to cover all the different techniques that I may use. Start from the low end and work our way up to the bigger rods. First one that I use, the lightest action that I use, 611 medium heavy with a moderate fast action tip. That moderate fast action means you're going to have a little more flex up here, right? A little more give up here. And 611 medium heavy, well, that's just kind of a middle tier power down the road, down on the bottom end. You know, for this right here, I like to rig it up with 12-pound mono. As you see, I've got one of my splashback popper topwater sight on here. I like all my treble hook topwater baits on this for sure. My super light stuff, if I'm going to drop shot or wacky worm, this is the rod that I want to go to right here. The next one in my lineup is going to be a 7-1 medium heavy. I've actually got one of my grass flutter spoons tied on here right now. I do use it for flutter spooning because I want a rod that has a little bit more limberness to it for flutter spoons than most do. I'll rig these up with 15-pound fluorocarbon. I'm going to do my shaky heads, my light Texas rigs, square bills. If I was going to throw a lipless crankbait not around grass, I would throw it on this rod here. Spinner bait would go on this rod here. Kind of your lighter end baits, not all the way light, but in the next tier up. 15-pound fluorocarbon helps me cover all those bases. And just stepping back for a minute, on the 611 medium heavy, I go with mono on that because I use my top waters on that rod. My treble hook top waters on this rod here, spooks, splashback poppers, stuff like that. All right, the next one's going to be the 7.2 extra heavy. This one's a bit of a unique rod. I love it for flipping a little bit heavier stuff. If I'm flipping bushes and I want to fish say a 3/8 ounce or a 1/2 ounce jig in some shallow bushes, this is the perfect rod for that, paired up with 20-pound fluorocarbon. As you can see, I've got a Shaky Head rigged here, and I know I just had a fish Shaky Head on medium heavy 7-1. Well, this rod here, I do fish the Shaky Head, but this is our big Shaky Head that I fish out deep. So this is the 5/8 ounce big 6-inch Divine Shaky Head, and I'm throwing that out in deep water. I need to be able to, you know, not much give there. Need to be able to get that big hook in them with a lot of line out. So that's why I use the 7.2 extra heavy on that Shaky Head. This is a great rod for the Movement 80X as well. This rod's phenomenal for that Movement 80X. You could throw a chatterbait on this. I've got a different setup for a chatterbait, but there's nothing wrong with this setup with 20-pound fluoro throwing a chatterbait on it as well. So the next one's going to be my 7.3 heavy. As you see, my chatterbait's rigged up on it. I go ahead and rig up a 7.3 heavy with 50-pound braid. I throw, and I also rig it up sometimes with 30-pound braid if I'm really trying to cut the grass. You know, if that 30-pound braid will actually cut grass better than the 50-pound braid will. But either one can work. And this is going to be my chatterbait and lipless crankbait setup. That's going to be primarily what I'll use. If I'm fishing a swim jig in grass, I'll also throw a swim jig or swim bait on this rod as well if I'm fishing it around very heavy vegetation. But 7.3 heavy, chatterbait, lipless crankbait, grass swim jig, grass swim bait. That's my primary use for that rod right there. Next one's going to be my 7.5 heavy, but here's the key part, the moderate fast tip. It's got a little bit softer tip up here, right? This thing is absolutely perfection for small swim baits. It's also good for heavier Texas rigs, heavier jigs. You know, if you want a little bit longer rod for flipping in some deeper cover or something like that. You know, when we get to the winter time, I will most likely be throwing my deep creek channel jig fishing will be done with this rod here. But for a lot of moving baits, I mean a lot, medium diving crankbaits, swim baits, smaller scale swim baits, you could throw a chatterbait on here if it wasn't around grass, or a lipless crankbait. You can do a lot of things with this rod right here. It's very, very versatile. But I'm telling you guys, it is absolute perfection for throwing the smaller swim baits. Alright, now we're starting to get into some Lake Fork rods here. This is the 7.5 extra heavy fast action tip. This is a scrape stick's what I like to call it. I mean, this thing is a get in this boat right now type of rod. As you can see, I've got my big 3/4 ounce Divine hybrid jig. We've been throwing that out deep a lot. Got that rigged up on here right now. I'll also throw some of my bigger swim baits, not the huge ones, but you know, the Smash Tech Convict you can throw on this, the bigger hollow bellies you can throw on this, some of the smaller glide baits like the Flow Glider you can throw on this. Rigging this one with 20-pound fluoro. I think I forgot to tell you guys, it's 20-pound fluoro on the 7.5 heavy with the moderate fast tip as well. 20-pound fluoro on the 7.5 extra heavy as well. You could Carolina rig on this. You could throw a pretty deep diving crankbait on it if you wanted to, but I like the 8-footer a little better. A lot of your bigger tactics, you can go to this 7.5 extra heavy, and it's going to handle all you'd ever want. Last but not least, 8-foot heavy. Get him, Pat. Real, bud. Stack got him a little peanut while we over here filming the Guys Network. How about that? Dude, you're so rude interrupting me like that, bro.
No apologies on it.
Let me swing that thing over here so I can show them to the folks at home. Little fat boy.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Huh? I wasn't talking about you. Look, he been eating my house, bro.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, bro.
There you go. Little ear scratch for this little guy. Little chunky monkey. Poochie belly. Look like he's been hanging out with your boy going to Whataburger after the lake every day or something. You know what I'm saying?
Sweet and spicy, baby.
Good job, brother.
Thank you, man. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. No worries. All right. 8-foot heavy action. 8-foot heavy action with moderate fast tip. This bait is ideal for deep cranking. I've got an Alabama rig rigged up on it. Works great for that. It is. I like to use the Carolina rig on this rod right here. I like a really long rod on a Carolina rig. Yeah, big swim baits. Some of my bigger hard baits, my bigger glide baits, I'm going to throw on this one. Just big old long heavy action with a little bit of tip on it rod. Whatever you're going to throw, this thing right here can pretty much handle it, unless you're throwing the 5-ounce swim baits or something like that. Let's break them down and let me talk to you about, for all you all my fellow ballers on a budget out there. I'm fortunate enough, I've got good sponsorship deals with 6 Cents, and I get a great deal on these rods. I've been there though, where I only own 3 rods, right? I've been there where I only own 5 rods. I got you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about if I only own 3, and if I only own 5, which 3 would they be that would cover me? If I was only going to have 3, I'd have 7.1 medium heavy, 7.5 heavy with a moderate fast tip, and a 7.5 extra heavy with a fast action. 7.5 extra heavy can do just about anything you want to on the high end. You can throw Carolina rigs, you can throw Alabama rigs, you can throw big swim baits. You have to be a little more careful, you have to work a little harder to do it, but it will do it. The 7.1 medium heavy can throw weightless plastic, Cincos, wacky worms, flukes. You can get away with that on that 7.1 medium heavy, but you got to be a little more careful, got to work a little harder at it. But those 3 rods would allow you to do any technique you wanted to. Now, if you want to do the 5 rod setup, all right, let's go with that one. I'm going to go ahead and add those same 3, and I'm going to add the 8-foot heavy for sure. To, you know, it's just a luxury to have that big rod on those big techniques. And I'm going to add the 6.11 medium heavy to make my life a little bit easier throwing all the light stuff. So I'm going to go to both ends of the extreme there and just add those 2, and I got those 3 rods in the middle that are all very versatile. With those 5 rods, guys, I promise you, you can do any technique that exists in bass fishing and do it as well and comfortable with as nice rod as anybody for 150 bucks a rod. I mean, that's a good deal. So there's the 6 Cents rods, man. I'm super proud to own them. I'm super proud to fish them. They've already caught a lot of big fish, including this guy right here caught me a 10-pounder the other day. So they're already catching big ones, if you know what I mean. But yeah, thank you, Casey Sobzak. Thank you all the people down there at 6 Cents Lures. Do such a great job coming up with new products, great product quality stuff all the time. By the way, if you do want to buy some of these rods or anything else from 6 Cents Lures, be sure when you go on their website, order from their website, 6centslures.com. or maybe 6centsfishing.com. Now I'm going to have to check that link. I'll link it below though. When you get there on the checkout screen, it'll say enter promo code. Select that, punch in the code, your Lake Fork Guide, all one word, all lowercase. I'll get you a 10% discount on everything at 6 Cents Lures, including these rods. That's like 15 bucks a rod you save. So, I mean, that's a pretty phenomenal deal for doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Good deal. Oh, Shaky Head sitting in that mouth right there. Biggin', biggin'. That's the 4th biggin' of the day right there. Yeah, got her. Oh yeah, come on. Got her. Mr. Mike and Mr. Sig. Good job, boy. That's a pair of twins right there, I tell you what. Well, guys, sometimes when I'm fishing with customers and they want me to fish with them, I catch my new personal best right here. 25.5 inches long, 10 pounds, 6 ounces, post-spawn monster Lake Fork bass. She definitely gets an ear scratch. She even gets a little sugar. Boy, don't worry, honey. I'll kiss you too when I get home. Good night. That's a special day, folks. That is an absolute giant Lake Fork bass right there. There she is. Lake Fork. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I know this wasn't like technique driven, it was more about how to set up your rods and different techniques that I use on different rods, but I hope that helps you guys kind of get a starting point and get your rods set up to where you're fishing more efficiently, because being more efficient is one of the most important things we can do in bass fishing. So that's going to do it today. The Guides Network from the Mystery Lake out here in old East Texas. Patty Stack, say bye to the people back there from behind the camera.
Bye to the people back there from behind the camera.
There he goes. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.